Evening folks, this is BestInSlot with a slightly different update video for Jurassic World Evolution, because tonight we're going to look at a bunch of audio files for the game. These were only released yesterday, found for the very first time thanks to the very intelligent people over the NEP, over on the Jurassic World Evolution Discord. Now, as far as we know, these are audio files from before the game even came out. These have been in the game, in all of your games, under my game, since before the game came out. These were cut audio for things that didn't make it in to the final game. But there's some pretty interesting stuff in here, and we know that, for example, the Jurassic Park 1993 DLC was originally planned to be a tutorial in the game. That's going to come up again a little bit later. There is a chance that some of these are new files, I believe, but it's safer to come at this from the angle that these will cut content. But it's worth remembering that cut content or stuff that didn't make it into the final product could be indicative of things that Frontier think are worth including down the line. It's not a guarantee, it's not even likely, but it's worth keeping in mind. So what we're going to do is just going to go through the files. We're going to go through each audio file and talk about each one as it comes up. I have not heard most of these as well, so this is a journey of discovery for all of us. How exciting. Let's start with file 0022.
Think you can make the next big discovery? Why not explore the Digging for Dinosaurs exhibition, where paleontology defines the future?
The Digging for Dinosaurs exhibition. That's interesting. Already interesting. What would that possibly mean? That to me suggests, we saw it I believe in Jurassic World, where these kids were knocking around, digging stuff up, and we've got the fossil zone in Jurassic World Evolution. Maybe there was meant to be a more elaborate sort of attraction in the game, like a dig pit where kids and, adults who want to be kids could go and dig up dinosaurs and stuff like that. That seems to fit in quite well with that. And again, absolutely not a guarantee, but maybe that suggests that's the kind of thing Frontier would like to bring in down the line. Moving on.
Looking for the perfect tour guide to take you through the process of dinosaur creation? Mr. DNA can do exactly that.
Looking for the perfect tour guide to take you through the journey of dinosaur creation. I wonder if this was... Basically, maybe this was before Cabot was even in the game, and this was the case of when you're making your first dinosaur, and Mr. DNA would come in with like an intro video, like a little tutorial video on the dinosaur making process. And again, it does have some ties to the original Jurassic Park, because Mr. DNA does not feature in Jurassic World Evolution at all, essentially. But originally, clearly he was meant to be part of the game, so when you're making your first dinosaur on Jurassic Park Isla Nublar 1993, which we think was the goal originally, maybe Mr. DNA would have been taking Cabot's role, essentially.
Whatever happened to the magnificent dinosaurs you see before you? Scientists have many extinction theories, but what do you think? Watch one of the many videos on display and draw your own conclusions.
Watch one of the many videos on display. So this kind of sounds... I don't know, maybe there was more educational material in the game initially, maybe more Mr. DNA stuff, maybe more just video content in general. Alternatively, is this a voice announcement for what would be like an educational booth, like an attraction in our parks? And the woman's announcing and saying, if you want to learn about dinosaur extinction, kiddie winks, come and watch these videos. Was that an alternate attraction to the other one we've already heard?
Stand face to face with any dinosaur you desire. Choose from dozens of choices in our Holoscape attraction. Again,
another attraction that hasn't made it into the final game. Now, Holoscape attraction was never going to be in the original Jurassic Park, however, because of course the Holoscape is something that came in with the original Jurassic World, with the first Jurassic World film. We saw the Dilophosaurus and the Apatosaurus and stuff like that. So... again, is that a cut attraction? Is that an attraction that didn't make it into the game? Or is that indeed an attraction that may yet make it into the game this year? One of the bigger problems people have had with the game, I know I mentioned it, one of the things I think Evolution needs to improve, is there's a lack of variety now in the buildings. We need new buildings to spice things up. And a little Holoscape one, that could be pretty interesting.
You're really moving up the food chain. Make sure you stay at the top of it.
I don't really know what to do with that voice. That's like a Microsoft Sam kind of thing. You're really moving up the food chain. I don't know, maybe that's just as you... Maybe that's like a... Maybe for one of the contracts, somebody hadn't done the voice work yet. That sounds like it could be one of the division heads, and that's just them saying, you're doing really well, keep on moving up the food chain. Maybe it was Cabot before Cabot came in. I'm pretty sure that was just a tester voice file before they had the actual audio acting in the game.
My story with the dinosaurs began here at Isla Nublar. This island is where I first came to question everything I knew, everything I held dear. Not because what happened here was impossible. It wasn't, obviously. No, what bothered me about this place was its science at its most dangerous. When ambition doesn't meet reality, but instead refuses to accept it.
Now, there's two possibilities for what we just heard. That was, of course, Ian Malcolm giving an intro that is not in the game. And he's talking about Isla Nublar. So either A, that was a introduction to sandbox mode, we know when we go into Isla Nublar for the first time, or B, again, that was possibly an introduction for what was the cut Isla Nublar 1993 content. For those who don't know, to quickly summarise, we believe that the original idea was for Jurassic Park 1993 to act as a tutorial to the game. You'd go back in time to the original park, you'd fix things up, you'd hatch your first dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff, and then you'd jump forward in time to Isla Matanceros and kind of build on it like that. We believe that was meant to be the tutorial and got cut before the game came out. There's quite a few different things that suggest that to be the case. So they could have been that as well. It's interesting that the voice line is there. I'm really curious to see if any of this is going to make it into the game over the coming months.
This island isn't just a place for me, but a defining moment in time. And even after having been recently covered in molten lava following the eruption, for me, it's still forever frozen. Frozen to the moment that I first made eye contact with a T-Rex.
That's some very weird voice acting from Jeff Goldblum there. Okay, so this kind of, like I said, I haven't heard these. I really haven't. I've heard like little brief clips of like 3 or 4 of them. So this kind of undoes what I just said to it a little bit. This definitely suggests that this was originally a sandbox mode introduction, because he's talking about Isla Nublar still, but it's been covered in lava, etc., etc., after the eruption of Mount Sibo. So he's still talking about the island, he's all very blah blah blah. I don't know what I'm saying here. The point is, this suggests that what both of these are was alternate introductions to Isla Nublar that haven't been used at this point in time, or were meant to be used, and then they came up with one they preferred.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. We hope you have a safe and enjoyable stay with us.
I mean, welcome to Jurassic Park. What more proof do we need that that was originally meant to be in the game? Or, albeit, could that be the same voice file we're going to hear down the line? You never know. It doesn't have all the effects and stuff like that that we'd hear on the tannoy in our modern parks. It's just interesting, isn't it? That's a proper voice file found in the game welcoming us to Jurassic Park. I don't know what else to say about it, I just think it's cool. This one is humongous. We're on file 107. It's over a minute long. It's by far the biggest. They're all small after this, so buckle in, folks.
This is where my life and many others changed, or ended, right here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, or more precisely, on an island off of the coast of Costa Rica. That island was a land of wonder and life. Impossible, primal, instinctual, predatory, prehistoric life and death. This would be Isla Nublar's legacy. Not Hammond's dream of a Jurassic Park, but something altogether more fitting. So the plan was to create an amusement park. Who wouldn't want to see a dinosaur in the flesh? But it was the in the flesh part that became so problematic. You know, at the time, I had my suspicions. We all did. And had the truth been revealed, I don't think any of us would have gotten out of that helicopter. My point is, there was an investment to protect, a very substantial investment, according to Hammond. And these things, they tend to take on a life of their own until they take a life.
So, again, he's talking about Isla Nublar. We've got 3 separate voice clips here, all Ian Malcolm, all talking about Isla Nublar. I can see why that one didn't make it in. That one's a little bit of a mess. It's too long and it talks utter nonsense, generally speaking. Oh, stretch. But the other 2 are pretty cool. And again, we don't know. Like, are they like, let's say we're going back to Isla Nublar for this 1993 DLC that we think is coming in December or so. Are they likely to bring Ian Malcolm back to do more voice acting, or are they going to repurpose some older clips that they've already got?
Or 2.
Dinosaur hunting level high.
Dinosaur hunting level high. So I think the next few clips are in this kind of area, the kind of announcements of the tannoy stuff that didn't make it in, but again, could suggest something for the future. Dinosaur hunting level high, is that just saying, I don't know, your dinosaurs are hunting a lot? That seems like a weird thing to announce. Let's move on.
Accessing Frontier Database.
Now this is interesting. I've heard this one. This is kind of some fourth wall meta-breaking stuff. Accessing Frontier Database. I think we're going to hear another couple like this.
Debug mode enabled. Human interface initialized.
A lot of this sounds very fourth wall, like we were working for Frontier, building Jurassic World in a bubble, and it's the Hammond is Jesus and all this kind of stuff, right? Okay, we're going off track, but the point is they had this entire fourth wall sort of breaking system in the game. Or alternatively, is this, I mean, it seems like a weird thing to do rather than just like a text box or something, but maybe when they were debugging the game, activating cheats for the game, as you'll hear in a second, and stuff like that, maybe they just thought, we've got the voice actress in, let's get her to pop out a couple extra lines and spruce it up a little bit for the development process. Is that all this is?
Accessing logs.
Accessing logs.
Acknowledged. Logging you in.
I can see a lot of it seems like we're... See, that I don't know, that... Is that the Frontier stuff? Alternatively, is it... I don't know, maybe going back in time, looking at what happened to Jurassic Park. Maybe that's how, alternate theory popping up right now in my head, maybe this is how we were going to look at the original Jurassic Park. It wouldn't be the same player character. That doesn't really make sense, right? Because it was 1993. It was 17, 18, 19, 20 years ago, whatever. From Jurassic World. I actually can't remember when Jurassic World came out. 2015? Yeah, so 22 years ago. So maybe it's... kind of, rather than going back in time literally, our player character is going to access data logs for the original Jurassic Park and kind of, do this zoom kind of thing into the PC, go back and experience it through their computer screen sort of thing. Does that make sense? I can kind of vision what I want about in my head, but I'm not sure I'm getting it across correctly.
Preparing to log you out.
There's a lot of this. There's a lot of logging in, looking out, logs, and it's kind of got this Assassin's Creed. That's kind of what I mean, that Assassin's Creed bit. If you imagine Jurassic Park 1993 is like Italy, and then Jurassic World is like the modern Assassin's Creed stuff, it's the same kind of thing, just without the teleporting. You know what I mean?
Enabling parameter control.
Parameter control.
Access main program grid.
I don't think this sounds like the kind of stuff that you'd have in a debug or developer mode. It sounds like it was intended to be part of the game to me. I'm very interested in your opinions, but to me it sounds like it was.
Cheat mode enabled.
Cheat mode. Again, maybe cheats were gonna be a thing in the game for some reason and they were taken out. Well, they were taken out for some reason. Games these days really don't have cheat modes at all. Maybe they thought the addition of Sandbox was a more worthwhile investment and they didn't want people cheating their way through the campaign. Personally, I'd quite like a cheat mode. I think cheat modes are pretty cool, even if you keep them locked until after the campaign's completed.
Alert. Biodiversity limit reached. Unable to create new dinosaur species.
It's interesting. So it seems like initially maybe we were going to have limited numbers of dinosaur species in the game. We were a little worried about this. Like this was going to be a thing. Maybe not in terms of species, but overall dinosaur numbers. And we know the game does not, well, as far as we know, the game does not have a hard cap on number of dinosaurs. I made 600 Struthiomimuses, and I couldn't make any more because, my computer broke, like it exploded. It wasn't the game saying, oh, we can't make any more dinosaurs. It's literally too much for the PC to handle at that point. So the game is very open to letting you make multiple dinosaurs, but it seems like originally they were going to restrict maybe not the number, but the sheer variety in species you're going to be allowed in a park. Very glad that did make it into the game either way. And again, that could be part of a tutorial, it could have been part of a challenge mode kind of thing, but who knows.
Alert. Carnivorous and herbivorous dinosaurs cohabiting.
That makes sense, right? If you put them both together. Bit weird that... I don't know. I mean, you could keep that in the game. I think if you had that in the main campaign and you accidentally import a dinosaur into the wrong exhibit, it happens. I've done it before several times. Getting a little alert might have been helpful.
Alert. Available space low.
Again, the same kind of thing. So maybe that one refers more to dinosaur numbers. Maybe buildings and fences and dinosaurs all took up space points, essentially, and once you max those out, you weren't allowed to add any more things to your park. Again, glad that's not a thing.
4x4 fuel level low.
4x4s used to use fuel, apparently. Glad that's not in the game either.
Never liked the rain. It does something to my hair. I believe the scientific term is frizzies.
That's a voice clip to end things on, eh? That is, of course, the Chris Pratt actor, who occasionally sounds a little bit like Chris Pratt, and then it all goes to hell. It's a bit weird, but apparently when it first rained, he was going to pop up and talk about frizzies. Yeah. Anyways, there we go. Those are all the audio files we could see that we could find so far. I just think it's interesting. I thought it was worth sharing with you folks at home. Hopefully some of you agree. Obviously, a lot of this is not necessarily indicative of anything for the future of the game, but I do think it's interesting to know, A, what Frontier have considered include. Well, okay, just not A, because this is all of it, but the things that Frontier have thought about including in the past, because it could be an indication of what they're going to want to include in the future. We know with the tutorial they wanted to include that and they had to cut it, and now we're seemingly getting a DLC that's related to the same area. So that proves that there's some cut content that they're going to want to use again down the line, and that makes sense. Game development is a hard thing, and they had a big deadline, and you're not going to be able to get in everything you want. Every game ever made has this story of things that developers had to cut and probably wanted to include. Jurassic World Evolution is going to be no different. I'm glad that some of it got cut. I don't think the fuel for the Jeep would have been a good idea. Building limitations, dinosaur species number limitations, stuff like that. But some of the alerts, some of the alternate intros to Isla Nublar, maybe it would have been cool if every time you load into Nublar for the first time, it plays a different one. Different voice clips, something like that. I don't know, there's some interesting stuff here. And of course we heard, welcome to Jurassic Park. So, that either A, confirms that tutorial did exist, and we're pretty sure it did by this point, or B, we don't know for sure that these are old files. I believe we don't know for sure if these are old files. We're pretty sure these have all been since release, but that is a educated guess. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the case. Some of these could be indicative of what's down the line. I don't think that's the safe way to view it, but it could be true. Just saying. Anyways, all very interesting stuff. Thank you very much for joining me. I will do nothing, because I don't know why I'm starting this sentence. If you like this video, please do hit the like button. I'll see you lovely folks in the next time. Of course, hit that subscribe button as well. Did I tell you to hit the like button? Because you should hit that like button. I think I did, but I don't have a memory. Hit the subscribe button for all the latest updates and news on Jurassic World Evolution as soon as we get anything vaguely interesting, basically. Still 3 pieces of DLC on the way for the game as well, so assumedly quite a lot to cover in the coming months. It's going to be an exciting time. Thanks for joining me. Cheers much as always. Bye bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way. I'll see you next time.